This video will discuss how to configure and use the Fractal Pattern Detection module. The Fractals module uses the results of the ZZ configure window, which configures multiple zigzags for each symbol. If you have the Fractals module enabled, you will have access to the Fractals menu item. There are two windows, one for configuration, the fractal analysis, and one to see the alerts, the fractal view. The fractal analysis window is where you configure fractals to be scanned. In order to scan for fractals, the zigzags that are configured must be calculated, and that's what it's doing here. The zigzags are calculated when you load symbols by pressing Start Real Time here, or when you bring up the fractal analysis configuration window. It will start to calculate the zigzags before you can configure fractals. When their calculations are done, the available time frames and zigzags will appear in this window. The available time frames ZZs box displays all the zigzags configured for a symbol in the ZZ configure window. To configure a zigzag to be scanned for fractals, move the zigzag into the selected time frame ZZs box to scan for fractals. Set the tolerance, the min % move, and the dB start date parameters, then click Save. If there are no symbols, or if there are no ZZ selected for a symbol in this window, fractals won't be scanned for that symbol. For example, the Russell Mini has one configured, but it doesn't have that time frame zigzag configured here, so that won't be scanned. The ES has these three zigzags configured, so they will be scanned for fractals with these time frames. The tolerance parameter determines how closely the current fractal should match the base fractal. The min % move parameter determines the minimum % move of at least one of the legs of the base fractal. The dB start date determines how far back the dB is scanned for matching fractals. To increase or decrease the number of fractal matches, you can vary these parameters. To start scanning for fractals, press Start Real Time, and after symbols have been loaded and zigzags have been calculated, press the Start button. Then the alerts will be shown and updated in this window approximately once per minute. Now I will start real-time mode, load the symbols, and the zigzags will be calculated. I'll pause the video, and then after it's done loading symbols, I'll resume. Now that the symbols have been loaded, you press the Start button to start scanning. The alerts detected now appear in this window and are updated about once a minute. The description column shows the ZZ and the time frame. The type of fractal is always vector, which I will explain when we look at the fractal on the chart. The time column shows the date and the time of the base fractal. The count is the number of vectors that match with the base fractal. The minimum is 3, and it sometimes can match 4 or 5 vectors with the base fractal. The offset indicates how current the fractal is. A value of 0 means the most recent. A value of 1 means that the vector is offset 1, ZZ turning point into the past, etc. The last column is the symbol. To view the fractal on the chart, bring up a chart, right-click, Show Panel, go to the Fractals tab, and then click on the Show Fractals. You'll also want to offset the chart in order to see the projection of the fractal. In order to see the fractal on the chart, you have to match the intraday time frame and the symbol on the chart. So we go to ES Intraday 15, we need to do Show Panel, Fractals tab, and Show Fractal. You also need to shift the chart. You can adjust the Y range like this. So this shows the projection into the future. In order to see the matching fractal, you can click on this button and it will bring up a lower chart. You can then zoom in, and hide the panel, so here's the matching pattern. I mentioned previously that I would explain what the term vector is referring to. Vector refers to fractal matching pattern algorithm where each vector is calculated according to time and price. So since it's using this algorithm, fractals may not appear to match exactly. However, according to both time and price vector, it's a match within the parameters specified. In order to see how a base fractal matches with the current fractal, display the zigzag on the chart and you can visually see where the fractals match. In other words, if you go back to the panel and you go to the zigzags and you display the zigzag, then hide the panel, you can see that this vector matches this vector, this one matches this one, and then this vector matches this one.